After a 3-year campaign, my players asked me to run a new 5th edition game. I kinda said, no, I'm tired of 5th edition, and I was looking into something like World of Darkness or Pathfinder. They kind of start debating the pros and cons, so I can kinda tell they don't want to play it. I tell them I'll just run it another time with someone else. The table then gets a weird vibe. The next day, I get 2 texts, basically saying they're offended by how I handled it, and that they said I could have compromised. It's not a compromise to run what they want to run. Now they're acting like I'm abandoning them. All in all, just an unnecessary situation. Wait, they were debating about it? 5e players will literally do anything but read another book.
No!
What's wrong, Steve? Shoot him!
Wait! I can't! No!
My name is Jacob Crowe, and welcome to the Crow's Perch. If the acoustics are a bit weird today, I recently moved into a new place. It's really nice, except for the blinds which immediately fell apart. Anyway, enough about our parasocial relationship and on to the story. Today's story is about a Forever GM's origin, recounting their first and last time as a player. So without further ado, it's about time we gather up a murder and dive right into this story. So this happened nearly 8 years ago now, when I discovered my father's old Advanced Dungeons & Dragons books. I had been curious regarding tabletop role-playing games for a while then, so I got a few of my friends together to read through these books and hopefully play. We decided that all of us would take turns GMing to see who enjoyed it the most. This story involves the friend who GM'd right before I was supposed to go, and the horror that followed. There are really only 4 relevant people here from the group. GM, the aforementioned friend, he saw the game as player character versus game master. Goblin, my best friend, a fighter who had started with a warhorse that was beloved by the party. Edgeboy, the GM's brother who was heavily favored by the GM, played a stereotypical rogue who trusted no one. Me, a wizard who should have started playing as anything other than a complicated wizard. I'll preface this story by saying that we were all extremely new to the game, and so mistakes were expected. I was the only one who had actually read all the books, and kinda understood the rules. Yet what GM did still left a sour taste in all of our mouths, and afterwards he was not invited to play again. So, the game started as any respectable game does, in a tavern. Our entire party happened to be visiting the tavern. Edgeboy was sitting in a dark corner table alone, watching the door, to see everyone who entered, as he didn't trust anyone and was paranoid. I wish I was making this up, but he was truly that guy. The party was then approached by a mysterious old man in a black cloak who had a quest for us. We were told to go to Marble City, the city that was made entirely of marble. We, as a party, decided to discuss this, as the old guy seemed suspicious, gave us a very vague goal, and wouldn't tell us what we would gain from doing what he asked. While discussing our options, GM interrupted the party and told us we had no reason to refuse a cry for help, and that the party was now on the road to the city. This upset us, as we felt we had no agency, but we figured it was just due to GM being new, like all of us. Crowe here for a quick interruption. The tavern. There's no shame in doing the tavern. I know it gets a lot of flack, but it can be a good way to really present everybody in the party and get things moving. Especially if you have a more roleplay-oriented party that can really buy into it. A common misstep that I see when people use the tavern as an opener for their game is making it so the players have no reason to be there, that they all just so happen to bump into each other at the same tavern, and that this could potentially be the first time they're all meeting each other. Here's my alternative. The players already got the job, and are meeting up with this quest giver to discuss details. The player characters already know each other. Maybe they're all in the same mercenary outfit or what have you. Maybe they know some of the PCs more than others. But they all at least know about each other. That way, everyone has a reason to be there, no one has a reason to abandon the quest, and every member of the party is there for the same reason. Anyway, back to the story. As we traveled, it became apparent that Edgeboy despised Goblin, and antagonized him in and out of character to no end. In combat, Edgeboy would constantly hit Goblin and say it was an accident, and GM allowed him to auto-succeed on any deception check to trick Goblin when he said this. This all built up until Edgeboy did something to Goblin that he could not forgive. Goblin had a pet hawk that he fought with that meant the world to him. He saw this hawk as an extension of himself. At one point, we were fighting a displacer beast or two. These were way out of our league, as we were only level 3 by this point. And GM had a habit of sending strong monsters our way. In this fight, Goblin's hawk ended its turn next to Edgeboy, who then said something along the lines of,
I'm going to attack and kill that stupid hawk. It's being rude by being this close to me.
As soon as he says this, Goblin informs him out of character that his character will take this as an attack to his person and would never forgive Edgeboy, and no amount of reasoning would be able to make him think otherwise. Edgeboy simply laughs and proceeds to attack the hawk. GM describes vividly how Edgeboy swings his sword and slices the hawk in half with a smile on his face. This was the last straw for both Goblin and I. Along this journey, our characters had become close friends. That night, Goblin approaches and tells me to look the other way during my watch, which I readily agree to. He then proceeds to sneak up to Edgeboy and coup de grace him as he slept, ending Edgeboy's reign of terror. Now, I will say looking back, that was not the best course of action as players. We probably should have tried some other approach. Yet, I still understand Goblin's choice. He had been antagonized for days, and had made it clear that this is how his character would react. After this, Edgeboy returned with a new character, brother to the previous Edgeboy. Why do all of these motherflockers do this, I swear? Oh, my character was a douche. Well, it turns out he has an even douchier twin brother. See, you can tell he's the evil one because he has a scar and a goatee. I wonder what my evil twin brother would look like. Ooh, maybe he even reads RPG glory stories on 4chan. He was relatively chill from then on. GM, on the other hand, did not like this. We soon arrived to Marble City, the graveyard of this campaign. We arrived to see the entire city completely on fire. Wait, it's made of marble. Under some kind of attack. We stopped to talk about whether we should continue, as we were only level 3 still, and based on GM's previous enemy encounters, didn't believe we could survive whatever was happening. We decided that we had to at least try to help, and moved forward. We said we entered the city, and as we did, GM smiled and said,
You should have investigated first. There is actually a giant hole in your path, and you walk right into it.
which is utter bullshit. Our characters would have seen this, but he didn't listen to that. The party awoke at the bottom of the hole to find the beloved warhorse dead from the fall, which upset everyone. We seemed to be in a cave and decided to continue on, as we couldn't climb up the hole. We came to a large cavern, and standing in the middle was none other than the old man that sent us here. We readied our weapons, as we still didn't trust him, and he removed his cloak, revealing he was an actual mother-freaking lich. Reminder, we're only level 3 by now. No way in hell we can fight a lich, and we say so. To which GM smiles and says, that's not all. He proceeds to describe the lich casting a spell to summon a demon. Not any demon, though. This lich then summons 3 of the demon lords to fight us as well. Not 1, but 3. Needless to say, we did not make it out of there alive. After this, our group blows up, asking why would he do this? And GM starts cussing us out, saying it's our fault. We should have played better. He storms out of my house, while telling us we didn't appreciate the work he put into this campaign. After that, we all looked at each other, and they said it was my turn to GM, which was the most tragic part of the story, as I became the forever GM, due to being the only one to read the books. Ha, ha. I only say that half seriously. I love to GM, and have a phenomenal group now. Obviously, some of these details are fuzzy to me, as it was a while ago, but this story stuck with me through the years. Yeah, bro. 3 demon lords. Just play around it, bro. Get good. Jokes aside, this campaign was littered with missteps. The GM railroaded the party without seeming to have a kind of direction to where this railroad was going to go. He had a heavy amount of player favoritism towards Edgeboy, but I want to say the worst part of all was his mentality. His desire, his need rather, to beat the players at the table. Saying how fair his game was. That, oh, you could have figured out that the guy was a lich. You could have figured out there was a giant hole in the floor. When both of those things very clearly seemed like they just came out of nowhere. There's a way to do well what this GM was doing. And it's something I try myself. I make my players suffer. I want them to win, but I want them to suffer. I don't want it to be easy. But even if it's unfair, there's always ways to figure it out. To tip the scales, if you will, in your favor. Even in this case, this GM could have left signs that this old man was a lich. And you can keep him as a lich. Players would be a lot more scared in dealing with him knowing that he's this all-powerful creature once they figure it out. But on your end, that also means play that up. The lich is far stronger than them, and he knows that. So if he's asking them for a job, that means he's already gotten the idea out of his head that he could just kill them and raise them as undead servants. That could be something he threatens should the job not be done well, or should they betray him. Regardless, it's all something to consider. Thank you for listening to today's story. And a special thank you to the Crow's Perch patrons. You know, I always like starting with the Birbs, our good pals ArSyx and Reuven Gritters.
And when you're a regular cowpoke like myself, and you sprout your wings and you become a count of Quills. Like Sawyer Rankin, Kooky Spooks, Rykis, Mexican, Haley, Zerofang, and Netscape Navigator.
But some Birbs pledge even more than others, like the Barons of Beaks, like Matthew MulQueeny, Vincent, Dana the Drake, McYeetly, and Anja. Is a patron not entitled to the sweat of their brow? Am I not entitled to spend their money? Don't answer that question. Instead, leave the decision up to Stevie, Doc Salty 96, Vanishing Thoughts, and Acroth, our Dukes of Feathers. If you would like to become a patron yourself, then check out the description down below for the link to my Patreon page. Patrons also get special access to monthly patron games hosted on the Crow's Perch Discord channel. And before we wrap up today's video, how could I forget Art of the Week?
Art of the Week? This week's Art of the Week was submitted by Scott D and was created by Miziok on Reddit. As last week we covered a story submitted by Scott surrounding a Changeling the Lost game, this portrait is a depiction of one of Scott's own games, of Vampire the Requiem, showcasing the entirety of his coterie. This is a fantastic piece, with incredible attention to detail. Miziok's link to their Instagram will be in the description down below. The second art piece is by another Discord user by the name of Lemming, who drew the crow after making an unfortunate delving into the depths of the most depraved RPG horror stories.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
If you would like a chance for your art to be featured on Art of the Week, simply post it in the Art tab of the Crow's Perch Discord. With all that out of the way, I will see you next time as the crow flies.